Okay, so coming into comfortable position. I quite like it when the sun's out because I look like I've got this enormous halo where the sun's coming through like an angel. So coming on to comfortable seated position. So again, if you get your the back of your pelvis against the wall, and then get your shoulders against the wall. Are you better? See, I've got them all stacked up there. Are you better off, Sam, with it under your feet or behind your back? Because you quite like it behind the back as well, don't you? I'm just thinking, has anybody got something spare you can put your feet on? Thanks, Melissa. Yeah.
Oh, thank you.
I have, gosh, I must remember. Well, I remember when I mentioned it before at the time, but yeah, I'm just thinking because that one is just as important, isn't it, as the one under your feet? Yeah. How's that?
Yeah. Good.
Perfect. Yes. Okay. So again, if you're beyond 34 weeks, crossing the legs is a little bit restrictive for the blood flow. So you might want to take the legs a little bit further out, maybe coming out with them straight, or maybe just opening them out into a bit of a diamond position. So whatever's comfortable. But when we cross the legs, we're making quite a big kind of bend in the knee here, and the blood and the lymph find it quite difficult to move back. So again, a near-term baby takes a lot of blood flow, so it reduces the amount that you have moving through your body and also the speed that it moves around as well. Which is why the heart has to work harder and harder and harder. So again, in pregnancy, most women at the early stages of pregnancy have quite low blood pressure. So there's the fainting and the dizziness and all of these things. And then as your baby grows, gets bigger and bigger, gets more needy in terms of blood and oxygen delivery. And so then your heart has to work harder to send the blood around, and then the blood pressure rises. And it's something that the medical profession keep an eye on, which is why you always have your blood pressure taken as part of your care when you've been to the midwife. Okay, so when you're in your comfortable position, just relaxing your hands, and as again talking about breathing. If you bring your palms onto your legs, it tends to kind of cave the upper back in a little bit, and it kind of restricts the breathing. So see what happens if you bring the backs of your hands onto your legs, particularly if you externally rotate the upper arms. So it's not just the wrists, you actually want the arms to rotate. And you might find a little bit of an uplift and a bit of space around the chest. So particularly if you're starting to struggle with your breath, this just gives you a little bit more space. And then just closing your eyes and just becoming aware of how you feel today. So just checking in with yourself. Just noticing how your body feels. Just noticing all the little changes that might be taking shape. And as we talked about earlier, some of these changes happen as a result of having a growth spurt as your baby gets a little bit bigger. So you might start to notice little aches and pains as a result of the baby growing, the womb growing. So just notice those as and when they arise. And then just moving your awareness down into your belly and becoming aware of your baby. So just rest your awareness on that space in your body that you are nurturing your soon to be met baby. And just be aware of their presence. So if you're less than 20 weeks, the chances are that you won't have had any movements, you might not even have much of a bump. So at this point in time, their presence is really only made known by the excessive peeing and the sickness. And then after 20 weeks, the bump becomes a little bit more pronounced. And also after 20 weeks is normally the time when you start to feel the tiniest movements, so almost little flutterings in the belly. And then moving throughout the rest of the months into ever bigger movements, kicks, elbows, headbutting in some cases. So again, just notice what you're experiencing today. And just feel that energetic and emotional connection with your baby. So as well as having this physical connection of them being present in your body and you sharing a circulatory system, sharing a space. But also be aware of these more subtle connections that you will have throughout your life. So this is the heart connection, this unbroken energy between you and your baby that is based on love. And then let your awareness come to your breath. Be aware of the sensation of your breath, and if you're breathing in through your nose, and just feel the sensation as the breath passes through your nostrils. And if you're breathing through your mouth, which is not the recommended technique for breath work, because the nose filters out a lot of dust and particles out of the air. It also moisturizes and warms the air, ready for the delicate lung tissue. So the nasal passages have a very full purpose. However, nasal congestion is really common in pregnancy as well, so you might find that you struggle to breathe through your nose. So in that case, just almost sip the breath in between the lips. And then see if you can slow the breath down a little bit. So we can do this by creating a soft restriction around the throat. So call this the ocean breath, or Ujjayi breath. And it's the same sensation that we make in the throat as if we were going to clean our glasses or a mirror. But we do it with the mouth closed. And we do it on the inhale as well as the exhale. And then maintaining that Ujjayi breath. Slowing the breath down, breathing consciously. The next time you breathe in, can you gently float the arms all the way up over the head and make the movement last the length of your breath. So don't try and shorten the breath. And then as you breathe out, just float the arms all the way back down. Again, making the movement last the length of your exhale. And same thing again. And as you take the arms up, can you lift the rib cage rather than the shoulder girdle? So you want to have a nice softness around the arms and actually lift the rib cage instead and get the lift from there. So it just creates a little bit of space between you and your baby. And then the next time you do that, same thing again, inhaling, arms reaching, ribs lifting. And then you're just going to drop the right arm down to the ground. In your case, some you might just want to hold the edge of the chair where the rim of the chair is. And then on an inhale, lengthen through the left side of your body. Stretch the fingers up to the ceiling. And as you breathe out, keep lengthening the left side of the body. So draw the rib cage away from the pelvis. So rather than pulling the arm over, just create some space here. So you're opening through the side of the body. And then on the inhale, push into the right hand to come all the way up. And then exhale, lower that arm down. And then same on the other side. So inhaling, arms reach up, ribs lift. And then on the out breath, the left arm comes all the way down to the floor. As you breathe in, lengthen the right side, so stretch the right fingers up to the ceiling. And then on the out breath, just extend that space between the rib cage and the pelvis. So just coming into a gentle side bend. And as you inhale, push into the left hand to rise up, the heart bone, Sarah. just do that one more time on each side. So now is a good time to practice your labour stuff. Get on all fours, move your hips and do some, seriously, because if it's a Braxton Hicks anyway, you might as well have a practice, because Braxton Hicks are practice contractions, so you might as well have a practice. And that goes to anyone else as well. If you know, some of you were talking about Braxton Hicks earlier. Yeah, so if you start to have them in the class, get up and do your labour stuff. And then once you've finished lengthening through, whichever side would have been the last one, that would be the left side, wouldn't it? So you've done 2 on each side, just coming back into stillness. And then once you've finished, gently releasing the legs and just ease them out. Straighten them out, and then just wriggle the toes. Has that worked?
You know what you're doing, Julie.
Sorry?
I said, you know what you're doing.
Well, sometimes. It's like anything, if you do something long enough. You can do this for only 20 years. Okay, and then have a little bounce off the legs. Roll them in and out. Just get a little bit of space in the hips. And then we're going to come down. So ordinarily we talk about not lying on your back when you're pregnant. And you know, it's worth a discussion. So it's not ideal, particularly for long periods of time. I mean, we're talking hours rather than minutes. And this is why when you fall asleep at night, if you wake up on your back, that's because your body's gone, wait, get up, you're on your back. And then you just kind of roll over back onto your side. So we're going to do a few lying on the back movements, but we're only going to be there for a minute or so, and then we're going to come onto the side, do something else, come back onto the back, do something, because actually lying on the back gives us a lot of access into, particularly for Melissa's upper back.
I love lying on my back.
So I love lying on my front. I sleep on my front, so pregnancy was a nightmare. Okay, and what we'll do, Sam, is if you want to turn sideways, remember what we did last time? We held back the chair to do your twist. So if you want to do that,
Yeah.
So everybody else, if you come and lie down onto your back, we are going to take the arms back at some point as part of our practice. So just make sure you've got enough room behind you to stretch the arms all the way back. And then once you've done that, just take the arms out to the side. So bring them at sort of shoulder height out to the side. So the knees are bent, feet are on the ground. Now it depends sort of how you are with your belly and also in your sacrum. So having the legs together to start with, but you might find as you do the twist, particularly if your sacrum is a little bit niggly, having the feet a little bit wider. So as you do the first round on either side, you'll have an idea of actually what you want to do with the legs. So the next time you breathe out, gently take both knees over to the right side. Now depending on how stiff your back is, you might not get them all the way down to the floor. And then as you breathe in, gently bring them all the way back up. And then as you breathe out, slowly take the knees over to the left side. And then as you breathe in, just bring them all the way back to the centre. And you're just going to continue to do that with each breath. So the first couple of times you'll do this, it's probably going to feel quite tight. So Melissa, do you want to bring your feet a bit closer in towards your body and go from there and see how that helps. So because of where you're experiencing this, we can either do a thoracic twist or a lumbar twist, and you're right in the middle. So we're going to do both and see which one of those is going to get. Yeah, so sit, that's it, sideways, so that your right side is against. So what I might do is I'll get a chair and I'll come, and then I can. So you might not have a weak sleep or something. Sitting with your right side against the chair. You might need a little thing under your feet if they don't touch the floor. And then you're just going to gently ease around. So you'll do half of the time easing around towards the right side, and then bending the other half of the time. So hold the back of the chair. And then every time you breathe out, just turn your belly, turn your shoulders. You're not really pulling around with the arms. You're just sort of allowing the twist to happen. No, I'll just do this for a few breaths, and then you'll spin around the other side.
Okay.
So maybe 3 or 4 breaths here, and then 3 or 4 breaths on this side. And then if we're still here, you can do the same again.
Okay. Yep. Thank you.
So Leah, how does that feel, having the arms all the way up? Is it alright?
Yeah, it's fine.
Okay. So as you continue with these twists, what you might find now is that it might feel quite comfortable to actually hold it. So you might think, oh, do you know what, I really just want to stay here. So if that's the case, then take the knees over to the right, next time you go to the right, and just hold it there for a few breaths, so you can really get into those tight spots in the back. And then however long you spend on the right side, maybe 3 or 4 breaths, you can then do the same on the left side. So is that getting you where you want the stretch, Melissa, or is it a little bit?
Yeah, no, that's good. Because actually, it's making me realise that kind of lower back area is also quite sort of.
Okay.
So no, this feels good.
So yeah, so maybe just doing this, in the morning, couple of minutes, and that might just be enough to get you through the day. So the next time you come out of your left-sided twist, you can bring the knees all the way up to the centre. So you're going to come and lie on your right side, and what that means is those of you who come onto your right side, if you're facing away, so that would be this side, so if you want to swivel around the other end, the other way, and so that you can see what's happening. And what you might want to do, Sam, is do you remember that back stretch where we held the back of the chair, the kitchen sink stretch, and just walk your feet back? Maybe do that because it's quite a nice stretch for the back. So lying on your right side, we're going to do a little bit of pelvic girdle strengthening. So pelvic girdle pain, and particularly symptoms pubis dysfunction, are quite endemic with pregnant women. And so we do a lot of these strengthening moves in the classes just to prevent it or to heal it if it's already happened. So the legs are straight, the whole body is straight, and you're just supporting yourself with the left hand on the floor. And then as you breathe in, push the heels away, inhale, lift, left leg, and exhale, lower it down. So what we want is to keep the leg exactly in that articulation. So you're working these muscles in the glutes. What you don't want to do is kind of slightly, turn it around and come up here. We're not looking to do that. We want to keep it exactly so you can feel it in the buttocks. So it's a complete lateral movement. And then one more. And then, because you know what you're doing now, you can just roll over to the other side. And you're all going to be facing away from me, but it doesn't matter because you know what you're doing. And we'll do the same on this side. So line on the left side. Support yourself on the hands, and the same thing again. So Sam, from there, just one little thing to see if it makes any difference. I'm wondering if the chair's a bit low. Can you send your chest forward? So imagine pushing the sitting bones backwards, but send the chest forward so the upper back flattens a little bit more. Yeah. Can you feel that stretch moving higher up now?
Yeah.
Okay, lovely. And when you've done 6 on this side with your lateral leg extensions, you might find that the hip flexors and the buttocks are feeling a little tight and tired, which means you've worked them. This is what we're trying to do. You're going to come and lie on your back. And you look like you're well on your way there to know what you're doing, Sam, so I'll leave you with your squats. Yeah, that's perfect, absolutely perfect. So, lying on your back and bending both knees, and then bring the right knee up towards you and then stretch it up to the ceiling, so a hamstring stretch. Keep the lower back pushing into the floor. You can hold the leg wherever it's comfortable. Point your toes to the ceiling and then pull the toes back towards you. And do the same again. Point and flex. Point and flex. A couple more times. And then rotate the ankle around. Rotate it the other way. And then just draw the leg a little closer in, so you're just exploring the hamstrings. Keep the legs straight, so you can draw in a little bit more, so you can feel that stretch in the hamstrings. And then release, bring the knee down. And then the same on the other side, so left knee comes in, extend it all the way up to the ceiling, hold it wherever you're comfortable. And point the toes, pull the toes back. Nice, Sammy, as you get your hamstrings stretched there as well. Yeah, it's quite lucky that we did the chair one last week actually, because you kind of got a range of things now. And then rotate the ankle around. And then rotate it the other way. And then bring the leg down. So then you're going to come over onto your right side again. Actually, no, will the left side mean you're all facing me? The right side. Okay, come on to your right side then if you're going to be facing me, that's lovely. And we're going to do another pelvic girdle practice. So bring the knees up now as if you were sitting on a chair, bending the knees, right hand, left hand supporting, sorry. And then your ankles are together. And then as you breathe in, you're just going to lift the top knee. And as you breathe out, you're going to let it go. So again, we don't want to get a really big movement, so we don't want to take it sort of out of it. So we're not looking for stretching, we're looking to strengthen the muscles. So you lift the knee up, keep the ankles together and lift the knee and bring the knee down. So again, you should feel it in the hip flexor muscles and the buttocks. And 2 more. And then coming around to the other side and doing the same thing on the other side. So 10 repetitions, so knees are bent, ankles stay together, and you're just lifting the top knee and lowering the knee. So you're going to do the back stretch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought of something, but I couldn't remember what I did with my legs.
Sorry?
I can't remember what I did with my legs.
I think you just put them on the floor, but I'll put them on the brick again, so that you've got some support for them. Yeah, so just sort of lift the chest, arch the spine, and just breathe into the chest. And hold that for as much as you're comfortable with. Okay, so when you have finished your repetition, you've done your 10, you can roll onto your back again. And I'm going to have a little bit of a hip opener. Are you all okay on your back? If you're not comfortable on your back, then miss them out, because sometimes it can make you feel a bit nauseous, sometimes it can make you feel a bit breathless. So by all means come up. So next movement, hip opener. This is called stirrup pose. So both knees are bent. Bring the right knee up, knee bent, and then just turn the knee outwards. Shin is vertical. And then if you can, you run your right hand up the inside of the leg and take hold of the sole of your foot. Now if that's not a possibility, you can take hold of the back of your knee instead. And you're just going to bring the knee down towards the floor. So you're working into the hip. Now that left knee might drop out to the side, which is fine, because it adds a little bit more ballast. So a little bit of an ungainly position, but very good for opening the hips. Yeah, that's exactly what I was going to say, Sam. Oh, you're really on it today. Yeah, pigeon pose, seated pigeon pose, lovely. And then you're going to bring the left knee back up to the centre and then straighten it. Bring the right foot on top of the knee and then take the arms out to the side. And then just twist over towards the left side. So drop the right knee over towards the left side, but keep your right shoulder on the ground. So that's really important. Right shoulder anchored, and then slide the arm up towards your ear. So slide the right arm along the ground until it's level with your ear, and then slide it all the way back down until it's level with your... So you're not doing a snow angel. So left hand can rest on the left knee if it's far enough over. And then with your right arm, you're doing this along the ground. So snow angel. Yeah, so all the way up to your ear. So all the way along the ground, all the way back down. So quite a nice stretch actually for the shoulder muscles. So you want to slide it along the ground rather than kind of lifting it up and over. And you want to make this movement as nice as you can.
Can't get my shoulders to touch the ground.
So see what happens if you kind of give up a little bit of a twist.
I think I'm all the way over. Okay. I think they're too slow. Yeah, it's on it now.
And then from here, rolling over onto the back of your body. And then we're swapping the legs over, so keeping the right knee bent, left leg now coming into stirrup pose. So bend the knee, turn it out sideways. If you can, run the left hand up the inside of the leg so that you can draw the knee down towards the ground. If that's not going to work, hold the back of your thigh. Just easing open the hips. If the right knee wants to drop out to the side, then you can let it. Provides a little bit of extra ballast and balance in the hip. And then bring the knee back to the centre and then straighten the right leg all the way out along the floor and place your left foot on top of the knee and then slowly take the hips over towards the right side. So coming into the twist, and then you can place your right hand on top of the left knee if you wish, if you're far enough over, and then the left arm stays anchored to the floor and you're going to slide it along the ground like a snow angel all the way up to your ear. And then all the way back down. And same again. And then you can finish, roll onto your back. And then just a couple of other ones. So we're going to do a back bend bridge pose. It's really nice to stretch the body in the opposite direction. We don't get a lot of chance for back bending in pregnancy. So you're going to start with your feet hip width apart. Some you can come back to your chair back bend, you know, when you're holding the chair. So feet are hip width apart. Fairly close in towards your body, but not all the way. And then you've got the option of just leaving the hands down by the side of your body or taking the arms all the way back behind you and lay them flat on the ground. Now, to get all of your arms to touch the floor, the likelihood is you'll have to take them a little bit wider and take your wrists wider than your elbows, so you're in a Y shape. And you'll know when you get the position right with your arms because you'll feel this stretch around your armpits and around your chest. So now the next time you breathe in, push your feet into the ground and slowly lift up your pelvis, maybe a little bit of your back, so just to where you feel comfortable. And then when you breathe out, curl the spine all the way back down. So one vertebrae at a time, pushing each part of your spine into the ground. Now, if you use your Ujjayi breath, your ocean breath, or you contract the muscles around your throat, you've got a little bit more time to come up and down. So next time you breathe in, push the feet into the ground, lift the tailbone, pelvis, and however much of your back is comfortably able to lift up from the ground. And then as you breathe out, slowly healing the spine all the way back down. We're just going to continue a few more times in that same way. And then the next time you come down, you can relax the arms. And you're going to slowly come up. So what I would suggest is coming over onto your right side and just staying there for a little bit, because you've been on your back for a while. You've been sort of horizontal for a while. So just take some time on your side until you feel that your blood pressure has evened out a little bit and that you can comfortably come all the way up to sitting. So you decide when that will be. Sam, how are you on all fours? You okay? Yeah. Okay. And you can always use the chair, like put one of the chairs at the front of your mat with the seat facing. You can use that to kind of climb up and down. Yeah, so you've got a little bit of support. Okay. So we've got a little sequence here. It's probably the most dynamic thing you're going to do today. It's not very dynamic, but we are going to integrate a couple of the birthing breaths. So these are breaths that are useful to take with you into labour, or even when you're having a Braxton Hicks. So there's a range of breath techniques that you can take into labour with you. And we're just going to work with a couple of them here. So starting on all fours, coming over onto your hands and onto knees. You've got hay fever?
A little bit, yeah.
A little bit, yeah. So
Make me sneeze.
it's quite sneezy out there. I've noticed it. Okay, so when you're on all fours, we are going to stretch our hips all the way back to our heels. And those of you that have been coming for some time will recognise that we do this pretty much every week because it's such a good position for the lower back. It gets rid of all the compression in the lumbar vertebrae. However, you need to make space for your baby. So you need to take the knees wide enough so that when you round your back and you take your hips all the way back to the heels, your baby has got some space, and that will vary. It will vary depending on what position your baby's in. Transverse babies take up more width, and obviously the more term your baby is, the bigger they are. So you'll need a bit more space if you're term as well. So it will depend on a couple of things. So once you've found the position for your knees, which is the space for you, you can keep the big toes together as well, so that'll give you a bit more stability. So the next time you breathe out, tuck your tailbone under. Push your spine to the ceiling, so really round the back, and you can help this process by pushing your hands into the ground as well, so you get a really good sense of curving in the spine. Keep the spine in that position, and then take your hips slowly back to your heels. And then once you get there, you might even like to do a little sway from side to side, so that might get you into a few more spaces, but it's going to be limited obviously by your baby, so it might not be a very big move. And then to come up, push your shins into the ground, and that'll give you a little bit of a rebound to rise all the way up. So we're going to put that move all together. So you're going to round and go back towards your heels at the same time, and we're going to add a bee breath into it as well. So this is one of our birthing breaths. So it's called bee breath, Brahmari, and you're just going to hum, and it's a lovely sound. It's very calming and relaxing for you, but it's very soothing for your baby as well. So it's going to look like this. And it lengthens the breath as well, which is what we're looking for in labour. And then on the inhale, push into the shins. Okay, don't worry if you're not all humming at the same time. I teach loads of classes where the same thing happens all the while. Everybody waits for someone else to hum and then they all hum together. Yeah, you don't have to do that. Just hum at your own time. And you come up, push into the shins. So just do that a few more times, and don't be frightened to make a loud noise. Think of this as a sonic massage for your baby, okay? So doing a few more rounds. So it's either Jen or it's Charlie, yes. Because your thighs aren't upright, you've got a lot of weight in the arms. Are you feeling that? So yeah, so bring the knees in maybe a little bit more. Yeah, perfect. And then that'll take it out of the arms and kind of balance it all up a little bit. And so 2 more. And then when you come back up this time, you can just relax the bee breath, but notice how that feels. Notice the quality of this breath and how it makes you feel. Because how you feel with these breaths will determine, whether you're comfortable using them during your labour or not. The only thing on the screen is, it's just like this. You can't see me at all anymore. So apologies, Catherine, you can't actually see me. Because you look like you're struggling a bit, Melissa, so it's in your eyes. Isn't it? This one? No, it's this one. It's a shame to shut the sun out. It's just at the wrong angle, isn't it? That's better. Now I'm on the screen. Okay, so we're going to put a few things together for our next move. So we'll do them sort of one by one and then we'll add them all together. Have you got wrist pain? Yeah, really common in pregnancy, carpal tunnel. So you've got a couple of options, Emma. You can, as you were doing, come on your wrist, but it kind of leaves you a little less space in your spine. The other thing, and then you're going to need a couple of bricks. Oh, you've got 2 something you're not using. Can we borrow them? Is to stack yourself up. And I'm hoping they're the same. Yeah, that's bang on. They're not always the same. So one of the things you can do is come up like this. Yeah. And if that's not enough, you might even be able to be careful because they'll be a little bit wobbly, so you don't want to put too much weight to them, but that might give you a bit more space in the chest. It comes from the shoulders, so basically the nerve endings that come from the neck come through the vertebrae in the neck, but then also through the shoulder. And then when you're pregnant, there's more water in the body, you get 40% more water, and then all of that excess water tends to compress the nerves, and so you end up having to get claw fingers in the morning, nice, isn't it? But some women end waking up like this.
Waking up with a lot of pain in the shoulder, and
I wonder if it's worth going to see somebody, like some kind of a massage therapist who works with pregnancy, just to see if there's something out of kilter there. So either an osteopath. I know a good osteopath actually in Swadling Coat. He works with pregnancy a lot, and I've referred quite a lot of people to him. So it's always worth that. If the massage doesn't do it, then maybe have a look at that mechanics. Because in 14 weeks you've got a long way to go, so you don't really want this happening now. So if we can fix it one way or another. The other thing is kind of waking up with numbness in the arms.
Yeah, it's all just this one now.
Yeah. So something might have you done anything? Have you kind of had an accident?
About 7 years ago I injured this one.
Yeah, I would go maybe to the osteopath then. See me then, and I'll give you his number if you unless you've got one that you use.
No, not since moving this way.
Okay. Yeah. Yes, that's it. Good idea. Yes, it's interesting when you're pregnant, all the old injuries really, because your body's in such a sort of sensitive position. People who have broken their coccyx, like years and years ago, falling off a horse, suddenly find they can't sit down because their coccyx starts to play up. Yeah, all these things come back to haunt you. It's no fun. Okay, so where were we? We're on all fours. So the first movement we're going to do is stretch the right leg out and stay on the ball of your foot and push the heel away. So this is anti-cramp stretch. So we do this a lot again because cramp is fairly endemic. It's also good for cracking the ankle muscles. So that's our first move. Just going to hold it here for a little bit because we're going to do it a little bit more dynamically shortly. So just hold it for a few breaths. Really push the heel away. Lengthen the calf muscle. So if you're getting cramp at night, do this before you get into bed. That's the first move. And that will happen on the in-breath. Then from here, you're going to circle that leg all the way around. So just follow it all the way around to the outside of your right hand until the shin is vertical. So you want to have the shin up. And again, what you might find is if you've got long legs, like I have long legs and short arms I've got, so I'm not in the right position. So for me, it's better for me to actually have my hands. If I was pregnant, I would definitely want to have my hands on some blocks here. I've got little T-Rex arms. Not very comfortable. So that's the second one, and we come here. Then on the third part, which will be an inhalation, we're going to push into this foot, and when you push into the ground, you get rebound action. So push into the right foot, and notice how that starts to lift you up. And then take the arms out to the side, and we're going to take the arms up as we did at the beginning by lifting the ribcage. So finding some space. So Emma, if you just want to take your foot a little bit further forwards, so it's vertical, a little bit more, and then you've got some support for the leg, and everything else. Okay, yeah, fine. And then on the exhale, coming all the way back down and bringing the hands back down. That's the sequence, and then we're going to do it with our breath, and we're going to use straw breath. So this is where you blow the breath out between the lips as if you have a tiny straw in your mouth. You can also suck the air in through a straw. It's quite cooling, so if you're feeling a little bit overheated at the moment, then that can be quite nice. Okay, so what we're going to do, inhale using the straw breath or just normal breath, slide the right leg all the way back, toes to the ground, push the heel away. Then on the out breath, circle the leg all the way around, straw breath, blowing the breath out as if you've got a tiny straw in the mouth or as if you're whistling. Inhaling, push into the right foot, rise up, lift the ribs. Don't stretch the shoulders up by the ears, keep them nice and soft. And then on the out breath, bring the hands all the way back down to the floor, still with that straw breath. Okay, so one more time. Inhale, slide the leg back, push the heel away. Exhale, circle the leg around, so you can straw breath. Inhale, push into the foot, and then rise up using the ribcage, shoulders nice and relaxed. And then exhale. All the way down. Okay, and then you're going to slide the knees back. And then we're going to do 3 more rounds of the B breath coming back onto the heels. So just to release the wrists. So make that space between the knees again for your baby. Breathe in. shins to rise up. 2 more times. Bringing the knees back into the neutral position. I'm going to do 3 rounds of the little sequence on this side. So straw breath, either just on the exhale or on the inhale as well. As you breathe in, the left leg extends all the way back, toes push into the floor. And actually we did a bit of a long hold on the other side, so maybe let's do that on this side as well. So keep the heel pushing away, lengthening into the calf muscle. And then with your straw breath, exhaling, circle the leg all the way around until it's outside the left hand. And then inhaling, push in into the foot, rise up, and then continue to lift through the ribcage. And as you breathe out with that straw breath again, just bring the hands all the way down to the floor. And just do that 2 more times. On the inhale, we'll do the calf stretch, using the straw breath. Exhaling, circle the leg all the way around. Inhaling, rising up, pushing the foot into the ground. And exhaling, hands come all the way back. And you just do that 1 more time. Follow your own breathing rhythm. And then when you're finished, all the way back. And we'll do 3 more of the V breath, going back onto the heels. Sitting back on the heels for a moment, and a few little wrist circles. So Melissa, how's the back? Is it
Feeling nice.
It's okay, so we don't need to do any upper back, it was more...
It's definitely, yeah, it's that lower bit from the...
Okay, right,
Yeah.
because I've got some things for the upper back there. That's fine, we'll stick with the plan. So yeah, I would just do those line twists. That should ease it out. Okay, so we're going to do some labour moves now. So you're going to come back onto all fours. Now bear in mind that in labour we would probably be using a birthing ball. So if the wrists are feeling a little bit uncomfortable, you could probably use a chair actually. So I might get a chair for you, Emma, as well. And you're welcome. Do you want one, Sarah?
I think I'm good.
Okay. Thanks. So, all fours position. So again, in labour, you're more likely to be in this position where you're over a ball, or maybe in the pool, leaning over the edge of the pool. So because you're going to be doing this for, could be 6 hours, could be 12 hours, could be 48 hours. So you want to use as little energy as possible, really. So either coming onto all fours or coming onto a chair, if that's what you want to do. You all right, Rebecca?
Yeah.
Okay. So we are going to make a figure of 8 with our hips. So you're going to circle one hip in one direction, and then you're going to circle the other hip in the opposite direction. So figure of 8, drawing a figure of 8 with your hips. And then we're going to use a different birthing breath this time. We're going to use the ha breath. So this is like a vocalized ujjayi breath, but we only use the sound on the exhale. So you just breathe in normally through your nose. Just continue in that same way, using that vocalized exhalation. It's quite a powerful breath to use during labour. So some of the ones that we've done so far are very calming, very sedating. And sometimes that's what we need in labour. We need calming and sedating. Sometimes we just need an injection of lioness energy. And that's what this is. You know, so you feel that you haven't got confidence, if you feel that you're running out of energy, it has a different energetic quality. So now, just to mess with your brain, can you make your figure of 8 go the other way?
No.
No, actually not. I think
It's like it's coming forwards rather than backwards.
no, it's just so you would have been going
Yeah.
one way, and now you're just going that way. So it's just drawing the 8 the opposite direction. And still with the ha breath, so still using that fiery, lioness, powerful breath to invoke these feelings and qualities of power. You know, we have to remember sometimes, you know, the force of a woman giving birth is incredibly powerful. Don't underestimate the strength and power that you have within you. You know, a lot of that's been taken away from the medical profession and just by, you know, gender inequality in general. But always remember, you are powerful. You can do this, as millions of women have done before you. You know, one of the things I always say is we've got a massively overpopulated planet. Women can give birth. Be under no illusions of how successful women have been at birthing babies. Okay, so from here, if you want to, you can come into down facing dog, but it will depend on whether it's comfortable for you or not. So wrists, if the wrists are hurting, it might not be very nice. Sam, you might not want to have an inversion. If you're in the later stages of pregnancy, you might not want to go upside down. So you can, if you want to, have a nice stretch, particularly in the earlier stages of your pregnancy, have a nice stretch into down facing dog. If you're not doing down dog, we're going to come up to standing, so you're going to tuck your toes under, walk your hands back to your knees, lift the knees up, and then just uncurl from here. And then if you're in downward facing dog, we're going to come to standing as well. So you can just walk your hands back towards your feet, or walk your feet forwards towards your hand, uncurl, and come up to standing. Okay, so taking the feet probably a little bit wider than what are these called? Hips. And then taking the arms up over the head and catching hold of opposite elbows. So something that women like to do in labour, which is kind of unsuspected, that's too far, is to reach. They like to stretch their arms all the way up. So you're going to take hold of your opposite elbows and reach. And then you're going to come into a squatting position. So turn the feet out to wherever that feels comfortable. And then you're just going to kind of lift the hips from one side to the other. So lift one hip, lift the other hip. And just reaching up with the arms and just moving the hips from side to side. So this is quite a good position to actually help your baby get further engaged. So maybe don't, if you breech, don't, you know, maybe you don't want actually to get your baby wedged further down in that position. So stop. You reach as well?
No.
No, you're fine. Okay. You are as well. Yeah, don't do this one then.
Okay.
So yeah, or just down dog. Are you okay with the down dog? Yeah. So I would just do down dog and then the circling lunges, which we've done that already, and you do it on the ball. So this is my go-to thing. So for breach, hip circles in the lunge, then a downward dog, then swap legs, down dog. But you don't want to be doing a down dog. So maybe just do the lungy hip circles instead. Okay. So for everybody else, coming into a squat and just lifting one hip, lifting the other, at the same time reaching the arms all the way up. And releasing the arms, taking the legs up. And then we're going to come into another side bend. So if you want to carry on with your breach stuff, actually, because that takes priority now, doesn't it? Especially with the fact that you're both nearly ready. So everybody else coming into squatting position, take your arms out to the side, and then you're going to take your right arm under your baby and the left arm over the top, so you kind of have a little side bend, the arms are going in opposite directions, and then inhale, come up, push into the feet to give you a little bit of a lift, and then exhaling, go the other way, so left arm goes under, right arm goes over, and then coming up, and just repeating the same thing again. And then coming up, relaxing. And then just bring your toes in towards each other. Bring the heels in, toes in, heels in. And just going to have a little balance to stretch out the soles of your feet. So, next time you breathe in, I'm going to use the straw breath again, so that blowing out through the lips. As you breathe in, just rise up onto your toes. Fix your gaze on something that isn't moving. And then come all the way down on the exhale. So if you've got a very spongy mat, you might find that it's a little bit too unstable as a base. So inhaling, rising, and exhaling, coming down. And then again, inhale, rise. Okay, so we're just going to do one short little bit of breath work, because I think in view of the fact that the temperatures are going to go up again at the weekend, or in the week, and then cool down, it looks like we're having these kind of moments of hot temperatures. So if any of you go into labour in the next few days, you might want some cooling techniques. And so there's a breath for cooling. There's two different breaths. So if you want to come back into your seated position, whatever that is, so Sally might want to come back on your chair. Do you want the two bricks?
Yeah.
I'll leave that here because actually you can probably use it to get up and down. Okay. Okay. So making sure that you're comfortable, so whatever position you're in, to get a bit of air in, because it's cut off all the nice breeze. No change position, see if that helps. So the cooling breaths. Are quite useful. For exactly these times when the temperatures are quite high. And when you give birth, it's quite a hot affair. You get quite hot anyway, apart from the extremities. So it's not unusual to see women in labour completely naked, or maybe with a t-shirt on, but with woolly socks on, because the extremities get quite cold, so the feet get cold, but the rest of the body is quite warm. And so these cooling techniques can help as well. And bearing in mind that a lot of hospitals are overheated, and the whole thing just is a very big hot experience. So what you're going to do, it's quite a strange breath. So you have to sort of tell your partner about this one, because if you suddenly start doing this in labour, he's going to call the psychiatric ward, or she's going to call the psychiatric ward. So you're going to extend your tongue out as far as you can, and just let the teeth rest lightly over. So you're kind of just lightly sandwiching your tongue with your teeth. And then you're going to breathe in through your mouth and draw the air over the surface of your tongue. It makes a bit of a hissing sound, but can you feel how cold it is? That air when it comes in is really cold. And then you close your mouth and you just breathe out. And that's all we're going to do. So we're going to breathe in over the tongue. Close the mouth and then breathe out. And so as you continue to do this, your mouth is going to get quite cold. Now, has anybody got a tongue tie? Because sometimes if you've got like a tight frenum, you can't get the tongue out. So you all okay sticking your tongue out? Marvellous. Okay, so there is a second technique if you're not able to do it. Okay, carry on. So the more repetitions of this that you do, the cooler you get, because as you continue to cool the mouth, it then cools your throat, the windpipe, and then it starts to cool the lungs. And once the lungs are cooled down, it starts to cool the blood as well. So you can, theoretically cool down the whole of your system. So just take a couple more. And then when you finish the next one, just noticing how that feels. Noticing if there is a quality of coolness that has emerged. Okay, so for the last 10 minutes, you can come and lie down if you want to. So you can stay sitting if you feel that that is going to be more comfortable for you. So by all means, just stay in the seated position. Otherwise, come and lie down. Now, for most of you, post 20 weeks, you'll need to lie on your side, either your left side or your right side. And you might want to place blocks under your thighs, maybe a cushion under your belly, maybe something under your head. So just finding what feels best for you. If you're less than 20 weeks and it's comfortable, you can lie on your back if it's not going to be uncomfortable. And you can have the legs straight or the knees bent or whatever feels right for you. So once you have made your way into your comfortable position, just take a few slow, gentle breaths. And let your breath find its own natural rhythm. Cultivate a sense of softness throughout your body. This quality of spaciousness comes from your inhalation. And then noticing the quality of surrender and letting go that comes from your exhalation. And just continuing in that same way for the next few breaths. Inhalation, finding space. Exhalation, softening, surrendering, releasing. Let your breath find its own natural rhythm. Feel a sense of softness radiating into the whole of your body. Softness and openness moving into your right leg, the ankle, the foot, and your toes. And softness and spaciousness moving into the left leg, the left ankle, the left foot, and the left toes. Cultivating a state of softness and surrender in your right arm. All the way down to the elbow, down into your wrist, palm of your hands, and each of your fingers. Cultivating a sense of softness and release down the left arm, down to the elbow, down to the wrist, into the palm of your hand and each of your fingers. Cultivate a sense of softness and release along the whole of your back. So from your lower back, middle back, upper back, shoulders, shoulder blades, and just feel a sense of spaciousness radiating in the whole of your back. And then feel a sense of spaciousness across the front of your body, spaciousness in your belly, spaciousness in your ribcage, cultivating spaciousness in the organs, the lungs, the heart, the digestive system. And then move your awareness into the space behind your closed eyes. into that space, imagine an old tree, hundreds of years old. And you can fill in the details as however you wish. So this ancient old tree might be in a forest or in the woods, or it may be just standing alone on a hill. You can see the thickness of its trunk and the huge spread of its branches. And you decide to sit for a while against the trunk of the tree, using the support against your back. And you get the feeling of the roots moving down, radiating out into the earth, reaching and spreading quite some way. And you look up and you can see the green canopy overhead. And also noticing the life that the tree supports. The birds, the insects, the squirrels, all living symbiotically with the tree. And this tree symbolizes strength, but not a loud, noisy strength. A very quiet, still, passive, rooted strength. And so just sit for a moment and feel those qualities radiating from the tree. Just gently letting that image of the tree fade away, but seeing if you can maintain the sense of those qualities of the tree. And then gradually bring your awareness back into the present moment. Become aware of all the sensations in your body. Be aware of all the sounds that you can hear, gently beginning to awaken your senses. Maybe taking a long, slow breath in and out. And then starting to bring some movements into your body, maybe wriggling your toes, wriggling your fingers. And then when you feel ready, you can just gently bring yourself up. So if you're lying on your side, take your time to push up away from the floor. And then the next time you breathe in, take the arms up, but again lifting from the rib cage, getting a little bit of space through, and then reaching up just to wake yourself up a little bit more. And then bring the palms of your hands down into your heart space. Then take your hands down to your baby. Thank you so much for being here. Namaste, Yogini Mamas.